Hi, everybody. Welcome back to the Agentics Security Shift podcast, where we spotlight CEOs transforming how companies secure, automate, and scale in an AI-driven world. Today, we're joined by Brock, very special guest, CEO of RocketGraph. Welcome, Brock. Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you.
So RocketGraph is one of the smartest approaches to turning data chaos into usable insight, right, Brock? So great to have you on and helping kind of give some insight into that. Before diving in, let's set the stage. RocketGraph sits at the intersection of AI and graph analytics, solving all kinds of cybersecurity pain almost every security and IT team feels. Too much noise, no single source of truth to look at all their data in a single view. Brock has been leading the charge on simplifying that entire mess. Today, we're going behind the scenes of that mission. Brock, what was the spark that led you to become the CEO of RocketGraph? If you could share a little bit of your journey.
Sure. Well, honestly, I think I was built for this mission, harkening back to the beginning where with my aerospace engineering degree. So I grew up technical and then very quickly got lured into enterprise software. My focus pretty much my entire career has been on business intelligence, analytics, data, anything in and around data. Data is the lifeblood of a company. It's really the one area where, people will quit over, this is my data. There's so much politics around data, and so it's an exciting area. It's also the most lucrative area if you can pull it off as an enterprise software company. So I got attracted to RocketGraph over the course of a number of years. While I was at Neo4j, the company began to just solicit my interest, and after a good 6.5-year run with Neo4j, I elected to join this company and lead its go-to-market.
Awesome. Fascinating. And in terms of your early background, is there an event or something that really kind of changed the way that you're approaching, graph analytics and cybersecurity at the end of the day? Anything that kind of sparked a different approach or anything you could share to where it was pivotal in that journey and how you're basically driving the company today?
Yeah, I think my experience with the different technologies that I've been involved with are what helped me paint the vision. Knowing what's possible. In the number of years I've been doing this, I've worked at a number of companies, small, large. I've seen the good, the bad, and the ugly. I won't proclaim ever to know it all or have seen it all. That's not a good viewpoint. But I think it's all a culmination of those things that helped me get to the point where I'm at. I can't think of a single pivotal moment, really, right?
Yeah. Any issue maybe? Any problem that you saw that nobody else could solve or wanted to solve?
Absolutely. Right? The scale of data these days is, I think, one of the biggest challenges. There's just so much data, and a lot of the graph technologies that are out there, most of them were built when data was intended to fit on a zip drive. That's a joke. But, the idea here is that we would like to be able to work with data of any size and be able to gain insights from data of any size, from edge to exabyte, as I like to say.
And Brock, I think I made a presentation on big data like over a decade ago. I think this has always been something that people are working towards, kind of like grappling with this vast amount of data. You have data privacy challenge, you have, visualization opportunities in terms of like what's happening in the environment of your company. Is there any sweet spot that you're looking to basically like get deeper into, or is there a specific segment or type of customer that is most receptive to the outcomes that you're providing now?
Yeah, well, we're hyper-focused on cyber. Graph can be applied to a lot of different things, but the team's DNA came out of cyber, and I figured when I joined we shouldn't stray too far from the tree. And so I also saw when I was at Neo so many companies that were in cyber doing cyber were also doing graph. So I had a hunch that as a small company coming out, we should stay hyper-focused on a single track, and so we're focused in the cyber market. Now you pick a lane, and then it turns out that lane is a highway. So like in cyber, okay, now where do we play? Where is our strength? And we're really in the vulnerability detection, anomaly detection space, and the graph is a means to an end. We're really focused on business outcomes, not just, well, we have this graphy thing and it's super cool. The idea here is to catch bad guys, honestly, in and around the areas of fraud, anti-money laundering, any anomaly detection. That's an area of strength for RocketGraph.
I love it. And you're clearly in a fascinating position right now, right? You're downstream from all the tools, but upstream from the decisions, driving kind of business level outcomes and decisions. What trends are you seeing with that?
Well, we're seeing a lot of ransomware. We're seeing a lot of nation state action where these guys they'll come in and they'll find ways to get into your network, and then they'll hang out for quite a number of months. We've learned that they'll go undetected for as long as 180 days. The attacks are ever more increasingly, I'm just through myself. You're going to have to edit this piece out.
Yeah, all good. It's easy.
Ever more sophisticated. Like the recent attack on F5, what will essentially happen is this thing will come in pieces and parts and reassemble itself behind the firewall, and it's impossible to detect without basically draining the swamp and looking at everything, which is what our capability does, enhanced with AI. And the way we work with AI is a little bit different than everybody else out there right now. Everyone's trying to make it do automatic. Can you just make it run and do stuff? And we think that's a horrible idea. So there's human intervention at every step along the way with our AI and how we use agents. We're way ahead on agents and how we use agents to connect to different data sources, figure out schemas, figure out queries, so the user doesn't have to know anything about all that complexity. We've buried all that using the AI woven into our product.
Makes perfect sense, and I think that's definitely a trend where it's not just going to be AI; it has to be human managed or guardrailed or however you'd like to say it. But the human element is going to be even more important, I think, moving forward. Are you seeing that? And I guess a little bit off of what you just said. Everybody wants AI to do stuff, right?
Yeah.
In theory, your platform does have AI doing stuff, but it might not necessarily be, what they're looking for. I mean, can you talk a little bit about maybe the difference in terms of like what your platform can accomplish and maybe that disconnect that customers have?
Well, in my experience, when you're trying to build a new application, there's a lot of trial and error. You're doing a lot of querying, you're trying to figure things out, you're trying to get to a point where, okay, I think I have something that I can work with. And what the AI does in our system is it collapses the amount of time it takes for even a non-technical person to tackle a pretty complex challenge. Looking at multiple data sources, bringing that in, conversing with the AI, asking for instruction. There may be some areas that you're not familiar with and need a little shot in the arm on just like, what does this mean? I'm not so familiar with this term. And so we call it Rocket Chat. And so with Rocket Chat, you can have conversations about your data, about the structure of the data, and then you can actually ask it to build a schema, actually build the queries. You can use it all natural language when you're issuing commands essentially to the system. And then every step along the way, it stops, shows you what it's about to do, asks you if you think it's correct, and allows the user to intervene or press go. And there are three major areas that we touch on. It's query generation, it's schema creation, and then it's also just this chat, the Rocket Chat that I was describing along the way. And actually there's a fourth integration with our MCP. We've kept pretty under wraps. We're going to be coming out with it fairly soon. But you can basically have conversations in Claude with RocketGraph. And we think that's pretty cool because not all of your data, you can get the graph experience without sending all of your data to an AI model. Instead it uses RocketGraph for the graph part, and then uses the AI model for all the kind of intelligence wrapper around it. And we think that's a really good combination.
Yeah, that's super exciting. Amazing. Well, congratulations and hope the launch goes well.
Thanks.
I know in public sector, it's often hard to talk about customers, but maybe, not talking about names, I'd love to hear, a little bit about a use case or an example. Customer came in with a mess and walked out with clarity.
Yeah, well, we can't say much, right? We don't know much. I've been told a little more than I feel like I should have been. And when the guy was telling me stuff, I'm almost like, whoa, okay, all right. But basically they're mashing up data from different sources. So, there's several three-letter agencies that are using the technology for similar kinds of things. And in this case, they said, look, you had a few wins, one really big win. And it's code for it went to the director of the organization and possibly to the President's of the United States desk. We don't know.
Amazing.
We don't know what we found. I've made up a fantasy that we found something that subverted the New York power grid for going out for 3 days. So what kind
Maybe.
of ROI would that be worth? I mean, that's
Right.
significant
Yeah.
ROI. We do know from another agency, though, that they have detected and collected, using our technology, $4 billion over the course of the lifetime of that project. It's been some 5 years they've been using our technology for this. So
Amazing.
yeah, we're pretty excited about that. So we came out of DoD, instead of doing the open source route to build up our product, and because I often thought in my career path, I'm like, how do you build a big data company and not piss everyone off? It's hard, right? Because you bring it in here, you have high expectations, you put it doesn't work. Well, open source. Okay, it's open source. It's all right because it's open source. That's a way to kind of build your product up. And then another way to do it is with the government, under wraps, building out the use cases, building out the security, all that good stuff. That's the path we took. And so we rebranded in the beginning of this year and came out essentially as a startup with a full whole product, all the integrations you would expect, robust security, completely scalable to any degree, and that's kind of how we were able to do it without pissing everyone off.
Yeah, and I mean, is the pissing everybody off? I mean, it sounds like that's challenging, right? You're meeting with customers constantly. That can be a source of friction and emotional drain. So I guess what is the hardest part of scaling RocketGraph right now?
The hardest part of scaling the company.
Hardest part. Yeah, yeah.
Just getting more visibility in the marketplace, which is why we're doing the podcast like this today. We're like the best kept secret because we've been hidden for 10 years building out the product. No one knows about us, and so we've come out at a time where it's pretty tumultuous. Fundraising is challenging, and so that's another challenge we have. A lot of interest in the company. Even despite that fact, there are headwinds. So yeah, I'd say those are the biggest challenges.
And what are you most proud of so far? It sounds like you have a lot of successes and wins under the belt.
The team, without question. It's an amazing team. People I've been able to work with before in the past. My chief marketing officer, this is our third run together. There's a gentleman on the team, Walt. You see him all over our website. He's the author of the 2-minute tutorials that we do. This is our 7th run together. And so then there's Eric Contigiris and the list, Gopal Nagarajan. We've all had this opportunity, so it's like pinch me to be able to work with the best possible people, again, as a team on the spacecraft, all working toward a common goal. It's really exciting for us.
Amazing. Yeah, surrounding yourself by people smarter and better, and well, I don't know about smarter and better, but ultimately it sound like they're uplifting the org. So
and in fact, I even we conceived of this cyber council, and it's been a great idea. If you go to our website, you'll see we have a team. The idea here was we don't know all the answers, and we didn't want to do things in a bubble. So extending the team with folks who, from pretty much any walk. Right now, we're really hyper-focused on bringing folks in who have cyber background. Right now, it's heavily skewed on the federal side. I'd like to get some more commercial folks on the bench with the cyber council. But it's a group we're really proud of, and we just added another team member yesterday. So, and they've been invaluable in helping guide the trajectory of the company.
No, that makes sense. Over 85 or 90% of buyers these days kind of know what they want before even approaching the company, right? So they do their research. I guess are you using the Security Council or the Cyber Council or anything else kind of online virtually to really build that awareness up or educate those that what your solutions does and how it might basically deliver outcomes for them?
That's the plan. We just had our inaugural get-together for the first time last month, so that took some doing. But the plan is to get the guidance from them on different things, have them potentially plug us into different opportunities. That's always a winner. Give feedback on the product. But really, my big thing is I want to get connected with potential buyers.
Yeah, makes sense. And then this one is a bit deeper, reflecting on kind of your founder journey here. If you could whisper a lesson to your earlier CEO self, what would that be?
Think big.
Think big.
Think big.
You're doing it. You're doing it, though, right? So,
right. Yeah.
Anything you would do differently?
Anything I would do differently? Gosh, that's a tough question.
It is, but it's all good.
Well. It's amazing. I mean, again, as I mentioned, all the high points. So doing differently would imply that there's something that we've done wrong, and I don't think we have. I think I would be interested in more demand gen, and I'm not sure if that's doing something differently. We are trying to build awareness, and that is tied in with demand gen, and just hired a new demand gen outsource company. Hopefully they can help us. I mean, we're trying different things with the website. So yeah, I think that's about all I'd have to add.
Yeah, makes sense. Makes sense. And how are you finding the reception to messaging? Right? Have you dialed in kind of the talk tracks and everything to where you're succinct in delivering those?
Well,
now?
Messaging is a life's pursuit, right? But
correct.
the reaction to the rebrand, people love Rockets. Before, our name didn't have the word graph in it, so there was no, flag in the ground as to like what we did. It was incumbent upon that company before we became RocketGraph to get the word out with a name no one recognized. It was hard to pronounce, at any rate. So that gave us an opportunity, though, for some real contrast. The reaction to RocketGraph versus what it was before really kind of made me feel like I was on the right path in terms of how people feel about it. And then the messaging. So we've learned over the summer what we think some of our key differentiators are. The ability to fully scan a graph, fully in parallel, the entire graph, no matter how large. We call it whole graph scan. Is a unique capability that we have and is very applicable to cyber defense when you're trying to figure out bad guys and you're looking at all the possibilities. And so that messaging on the whole graph search seems to go well. That's one of our core differentiators. The AI, now we were ahead when I joined a year ago. So by the way, this is literally I joined December 2nd in 2025. So
well, happy anniversary then. This is your 1 year today. Congratulations.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's apropos that we're doing this podcast today. So
yeah. And so it sounds like, look, the product and solutions clearly best in class, differentiated, and iterating obviously as a AI platform. Can you talk a little bit about how you're getting better, innovating? I mean, it sounds like there's a lot on the horizon and a lot happening right now with a differentiated solution. You're not resting on your laurels still.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. So it's really pushing the envelope right now, with the agentic AI, allowing it to actually show what it's doing. Before we were kind of having it just in the background. It wasn't really giving messages. Now we're doing more along what seems to be the trend where you want to see what it's up to. You want to see what it's thinking about. You want to see what it's trying. And so in this next release, we're going to be exposing that information to folks so they can actually see, okay, it's tried this, tried the query 3 times, it's trying again, okay, I got it right. And then adding more tools. They're called agent tools. So you have basically a master agent and then a bunch of little tools that have certain jobs. And, the master agent will call on I should call a primary agent. We'll call on some of the other agents to do its bidding, and that's the architecture that we are working on.
What can customers expect in terms of outcomes of these new innovations? So I guess the question is how is RocketGraph evolving as AI becomes more agentic?
Yeah, it's going to take less time for people to get up to speed and use it. It's going to become even more reliable than it has been in the past. An analyst can actually do any work without having to be educated and trained because of the capabilities of the enhanced. It's like, the idea is it's like an exoskeleton. You've seen those on, Alien, right? It gives you superpowers, right? I mean, that's essentially what we've done is outfitted an analyst with an exoskeleton that allows them to lift huge amounts of data, sift through impossible amounts of data, essentially discover the impossible.
Yeah, absolutely. Are you finding, Brock, that customers you're speaking to often think they know everything? I mean, although the way I think about this is kind of the more you know, the more you don't know. Everybody's using all sorts of, graphing, visualization tools, like aggregation tools. So, I guess the question becomes what do you wish that CISOs understood, or maybe they would understand sooner?
About us? Okay, well, I see these guys and they're like big, heavy lifts with lots of infrastructure to do their cybersecurity. We're not a big lift. You can bring us in, feed it some data, and within, every POC there's a big discovery. There's a big aha. Because we're playing with real data. No analytics tool ever gets bought without people trying it with their own data. And out of that, there'll be this insight, like oftentimes a multi-million-dollar insight. And we're working with a company, it's a hydrogen manufacturing company. It's not a cybersecurity use case. It's one of the most innovative uses of our technology, where they have capital intensive equipment, heating elements, cooling elements, all this sort of stuff, and one of these guys keeps going out. It's supposed to last 4 years. It's bombing out after 4 months. They have to shut the plant down. It's millions of dollars. So they gave us a set of data, and we took a week and came back to them, and with the capability spotted the root cause of what was causing the problem. And so that's an exciting, unusual use case that I think is worth talking about. I also want to put this one in here. We were indispensable during the shutdown to the degree that we actually got our deal done. We're doing ELAs with our customers, enterprise license agreements. And even though the money was shut down, the government was shut down, we still got paid. And a lot of folks didn't. So that gives you some indication of the importance of, we dodged the Doge. So while other companies were getting shut down and pushed out, we were getting funded and pushed forward. So I think these are a lot of good indications of how well we're doing.
Absolutely. That's exciting. And I think, pushing out the Doge, I think you were aligned with their mission. You're driving efficiencies, you're driving outcomes. I think that's what they're looking to do as well, right? So, and then you mentioned a little bit about the aha moment, right, with some customers. I mean, when someone encounters RocketGraph for the first time, what do you want them to feel? What is that aha moment that you want them to feel?
Jubilation. It's kind of like when you're buying a computer from Apple, you're not just buying a computer. When you're buying a solution from RocketGraph, it's not just a cybersecurity solution. It should be something that makes you feel thrilled to use, that it's a wonderful experience. And that's the feedback that we get. We put a lot of effort into eliminating friction, including like just literally installing it, getting that to a 30-second install so that there's no friction for, if it's supposed to be for non-technical users, you can't have to need a rocket scientist degree to install the things. We've eliminated all that. I use the product. It's a pleasure to use.
Yeah, I love that. And it sounds like you have something of a mission there, right? Like RocketGraph, you don't need a rocket scientist degree in order to operate this.
Exactly.
Exactly. That's awesome. And then Brock, what's next? So you're looking at you spoke a little bit to the upcoming capabilities and expansions. We want to hear how we're going to keep the aha moments coming.
Well, this is a good one. So quantum. So it turns out graph and quantum have a lot of simpatico. And so we're investigating with our roadmap, over the 3-year roadmap we're putting together, how much quantum we can put into the roadmap. And so I'm particularly excited. It sounds like science fiction, but it's not. Tell
me more. Tell me more about it. I mean, I'm speaking to some quantum CEOs, founders, as part of the audience. So I'm sure they'd love to hear how.
We want to be quantum ready, essentially, right? Where we are able to take full advantage of the quantum capabilities that are out there. If you do a little research on quantum, a lot of the quantum modeling can be done with graph, and so it's actually a good nomenclature, a good calculus, a good algebra, if you will, to use with quantum. And so we're preparing ourselves for that, because believe it or not, it's going to be here before you know it.
I love it. And I mean, it sounds like you have a lot of launches on the horizon, a lot of lofty goals. Exactly. What does RocketGraph look like in 1 year in an ideal scenario?
In a year?
1 year.
Yeah, a year. I'd like to see us with this, our Series A round of funding. So up to this point, we've all been seed funded, which is amazing considering how much we've built and what we have. And I'd like to grow the team, double the team, honestly, the year. And then we'd love to, so we doubled revenues in 2025. We'd like to see us double revenues again in 2026. So that would be a couple of the ideas of the year ahead.
Amazing. Exciting stuff here. Thank you so much, Brock. If the listeners want to reach out to you, what's the easiest, best way?
Brock at RocketGraph.com. Pretty simple.
All right. Awesome, Brock. It was a pleasure speaking to you. Thank you so much for the insight today.
You bet. Thanks for the time. I really appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you.